Alright, hello, what's up? No. This is why I'm terrible at VODs. I'm so much better at doing it just off the cuff. Anyway, hello, happy Sunday to you guys. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to discuss the ethics of mechanics. And what I really wanted to talk about is how people perceive mechanics and how mechanics perceive people, customers. So here's how it kind of breaks down. Customers bring in a car. We have to take the car in, look at it. Let's say you're a first-time customer. We've never seen you before. We've never seen the car before. We have to look at it from top to bottom. Look at everything, especially if you're just coming in for like an oil change or something like that. One, we have to make sure it's safe. Two, we have to make sure we repair everything that you asked us to repair, or just change the oil or whatnot. And B, we have to make sure that we send you out with a recommended list if there is anything to be fixed. Because if we don't, then you could come back to us and try and hold us liable if something breaks. So you got to look at it from our perspective on that regard. If you bring in a car and it's in top quality shape, except there's a suspension piece that's loose, and going down the road, we said the car looks alright, and going down the road that suspension piece breaks off and you get in an accident, are you going to come, lots of people are going to come back to us and be like, why didn't you tell me that suspension piece was broken? So a lot of times we have to go out of our way to make sure that we give you a very long list of things that you need to repair, because we need to make the car 100% safe, and we try to make it basically 100% back to the factory standards. To cover our ass is the CYA, cover your ass. That's the general gist of what we have to do. So, for you guys on the receiving end of that, being the customer, it can be very daunting. Like, you bring your car in just to get your oil changed, and you know that it's not so great. You know that it's got worn pieces and stuff like that. And then you get this estimate for like $3,000, and you're like, they're just trying to rip me off. No, we're not trying to rip you off. We're just trying to cover our base and let you know what's wrong. And you can always decline it. We don't do any work that the customer doesn't request. Either we do the work, either we don't do the work because you don't request it, or we have you sign a little note that says this car is dangerous, and we need you to sign this little piece of paper to basically cover our ass. There's my dog. So that's what I want you guys to experience. Now, how can we change that if there's anything to be changed? You as the customer side of things, what can we do to make you feel a little bit better? And also other mechanics, what do you guys do in those kind of situations where you have large lists of things they need fixed and they're never going to want to fix them? And we understand that there are a lot of people that won't or can't fix them. And I totally understand that. So I want to talk, that's what I think about our ethical side of things, where we're supposed to give you a complete breakdown of your car. But then the other flip side for us, how do you compensate us? How do we get compensated for doing that much of an evaluation of a car? That's why a lot of times a lot of these different places have a free inspection with their services. In some shops they don't offer free oil, or not free oil changes, but they don't just do oil changes. Lots of shops we don't do oil changes, but we do services. And services include all the time that it takes to spend checking out all the stuff, scanning the computers, looking at every light that's on. So, that. And that kind of covers what I think I wanted to talk about. Sort of talked myself into a corner, I think. So what do you guys think? I'd really like to know what other shop owners think, what other mechanics work. At my shop, I don't really interact with the customers too much, and it's kind of something I wish I could do more, but I've interacted with them on a I don't want to say a semi-daily basis, but I'll talk with them every once in a while, especially if I can just kind of sneak up there and be like, ooh, are you the person that owns this car? So, that's, like I said, I don't get to interact with them very specifically every day. So I don't get to hear the daily, I don't answer the phones, I don't really take in the customers or anything like that, so I don't even get to hear the complaints. I have to deal with the service writer. And I know a lot of you guys do the same thing, where you get a car in and you get to find out through the service writer, which I think is one of the problems with a lot of things, is it makes it very impersonal. When you don't see the person that's driving the car every day, you don't know if it's an elderly lady or a young guy, or maybe a mother of three or whoever. Just off that knowledge, I can make a lot of assumptions on how that car is driven. And they may be incorrect assumptions, but it still helps me gauge about, things. So if I look at the car and it's got worn out tires and the suspension's shot, and it looks like it's been driven really hard, and I know it's some, teenager or young 20s guy, I'm thinking he probably drives it pretty aggressively. Things like that. If it's worn out, things like that, and it's an elderly lady, I'm thinking maybe it just isn't driven enough. And it just hasn't been checked over enough. Who knows? So there's a lot of things you can do, and then you can also approach these people with different kind of repairs based off of what they need for their particular car. I don't even know if I'll keep that in there. Anyway, the problem is I hate cutting out stuff that is unimportant because it feels like you're cheating when you don't speak your mind and you don't get the whole thought out and you just kind of edit yourself to where it's all the important stuff you want to edit. I think you lose a lot of where my mindset and stuff comes from and what I'm thinking, even though some of it might come out and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sometimes you do that and you're just like, crap, how do I rephrase that to where it's better understood? And maybe people out there really understand what I'm saying. And maybe that wasn't a screw up at all. It's just, it sounded bad to me, so I want to cut it out. But maybe it's not. Maybe it brings the point home for you. So, the next video I'm going to actually do, sitting out here just like this, I'm going to go over a few points on where to start evaluating your own car from, and I want to follow it up with another video that is a much more in-depth one that I do from work, where I have a car that we're going to evaluate, and I'll just take you guys through every step that I do from start to finish with what you can do at home. I'm going to do 2 videos for that. I'm going to do the one where I pick it up on the lift and check it out, and the other one where I'm like looking at it on the ground, trying to, look at it how you guys would look at it, who are do-it-yourselfers or just your average person who wants to look at their car and have any idea what they're looking at. So that is what I would like to do. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that part, or this part. I'd like to call it our Sunday discussions. Still going to throw it under the Daily Mechanic because it's just kind of all one series where I sit here and discuss things with you for YouTube. It's not part of the stream or anything like that. I eventually would like to get it to where I start live streaming that again. I used to do a podcast called The Independent Mechanic, and it had like 3 or 4 episodes, and then my studio got overhauled and it stopped working quite right. So anyway, maybe one day we'll get back to that. That's all about where it comes from us as a mechanic evaluating a car, and you as a customer receiving that evaluation being pocketbook struck, so to feel, where if you are on the receiving end, a lot of the times you feel like you have to repair all these things at once because it depends on how the service writer or mechanic sells it to you. That's where you're really starting to get into the ethical things, where some mechanics will make it sound like you're about to die any second, and it's really unnerving when you're a customer and you're like, I thought my car was doing all right, and now you're telling me it's going to like crash into a ball of flames and I'm going to fly out towards the sun and then explode? No, probably not, but we have to impress upon you how important some repairs are. However, I think there's a lot of people that they go out of their way to make it sound more scary than it is. So I would really like to be able to make people feel, I'd like to be able to give people like kind of second opinions over the internet or something to that effect, where you can come here or to the channel or anywhere like that and be like, these guys told me X, X, Y, and Z, and they said that this is going to happen. My chickens are fighting. What do you think about that? It could very well be possible. Also, just I would like to give you a ability to help you back up and reevaluate or double check what they said. So they said, your wheels are your tires are bald and you need to replace them. Go out there and look at them, and I can give you a gauge at how different tires look for various things. Those are real easy things to check, like fluid levels, things like that. Try to know your car as well as you possibly can before you bring it into a mechanic, so that way you know what you're getting into. And I also really, really want to get a lot of people who are mechanics to try and be as honest with people as possible. The other side of the coin is, us as mechanics, it's our job. We have to make money, and so we can't just keep bringing in cars to tell everybody, hey, you don't really need to fix that, hey, you don't really need to fix that. There's plenty of times that I do that, and then there's times it's just like, you want this to stop, you got to get it to stop. There's no other way around it. You have to spend some money. Well, thank you for watching very much. I hope you I hope this helped answer some questions from the mechanic side of things. If you have any questions, mechanic or non-mechanic side of things, please leave them in the comments. I would love to hear about them. Share this with your friends. Share with anybody that you know is a mechanic, and I would like to hear from them. And I would like to hear anybody who just is having car problems that maybe they would like some just moral support on. We also have a Discord server, which is basically it's an internet chat room for all intents and purposes. Good old-fashioned typey, and that's where we talk about cars and help people out, and just generally hang out and relax, and even play games. So, thank you very much for joining me. It's been awesome. Have a good time.